This video is brought to you by capbeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
What's up guys, it's Nico here and I just need to share the sponsor with you guys real quick. The sponsor for today's video is capbeast.com. Capbeast.com is your one-stop shop for custom snapbacks that people from all around the world make. If you want to add more variety to the caps that you use, take a look at capbeast.com to find great designs that suit your liking. Back to the topic at hand. With the 2019 NBA free agency almost wrapping up and with most players already signed up with their respective teams, it's hard to not speculate on what will or might happen this season. The league has never seen so much movement for star players in one summer, and what seems like a lifetime of dominance by the Golden State Warriors, we now have equal distribution of star players in the NBA. Duos now dominate the league, which is great for basketball fans, and almost any team now who has a top 20 player in their roster has a chance to compete for the title. In this video, we'll be doing a special what if video centered on predicting what can happen in the 2019-2020 NBA season. Ever since I started YouTube, I wanted to do a video like this since I was inspired by Mike Korzemba and Nick Smith, so I hope that this video will be at least half or at least close to how they did their videos. Just to set some rules here, real life injuries are being considered in this simulation or prediction. So that means that Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and even Jusuf Nurkic injuries are all taken into account, since that will greatly affect how the standings will look like from start to finish. Let's jump right into the start of the regular season, wherein the new NBA features a lot of duos trying to find their chemistry with their new teammates and the pressure to perform immediately, since a lot is riding on them to bring a championship to their city, considering how open the league is this year. LeBron James and Anthony Davis have a lot to prove after missing the playoffs with their respective teams last year. Kawhi Leonard will be starting the season without Paul George, who's still out because he's still in the middle of rehabbing his shoulder. Same for Kyrie Irving, but his running mate in Kevin Durant will be out for the entire year. While Kemba Walker will prove to all of us that he's the better fit to this young core of the Celtics. In other news, Markelle Fultz is back, but the Magic are trying to see how they'll slowly ease him into their starting lineup, considering how DJ Augustin already has chemistry with his teammates. Out of all the duos, most of the sports channels will be centered on debating if whether Russell Westbrook and James Harden will be able to make it work with the Rockets. Can they bring a championship to Houston, and if their previous chemistry is enough to get over that hump in the loaded Western Conference? After 5 years of being the clear favorite to win the title, the Golden State Warriors will be starting off as underdogs entering this new season. A label they haven't had in years, but the team is ready to prove that they still belong in the conversation and ready to catch everyone by surprise once again. We now jump to 6 weeks into the season, wherein we check on how the rookies for this year are doing. Zion Williamson leads the pack with averages of 18 points, 9.5 rebounds, 6 assists, 53% shooting from the field, and shooting 29% of his threes in 33 minutes per game. He's getting a lot of burn with the Pelicans, who are filled with young and veteran players at the same time. Ja Morant, on the other hand, is scoring 15 points and dishing 7 assists a game in Memphis, who is allowing him to grow his game without any pressure and build chemistry with Jaren Jackson Jr. Kobe White is scoring 12 points a game and handling almost 5 assists a game in 24 minutes, since he's sharing time with Chris Dunn, who's still with the Bulls. Darius Garland proves that he can work with Colin Sexton at the backcourt for Cleveland, but they struggle in the first 6 weeks of the season because of the holes in their roster. Lastly, RJ Barrett struggles to find his shot with the New York Knicks because of his new teammates who are taking a lot of touches away from him, and the fact that he's struggling to reach 30 minutes consistently. Here's a quick look at the Rookie of the Year race again. From this point out, it just looks like a two-man race between Zion Williamson and Ja Morant. At this point of the season, Paul George has already returned to help Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers to the top of the Western Conference. We first take a look at the West standings, wherein the LA Clippers are number 1 in the standings, with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George duo fitting well quite nicely. At number 2 are the LA Lakers, who have a rejuvenated DeMarcus Cousins and is playing close to the level he once showed back when he was with the Pelicans. At number 3 are the Houston Rockets, who are silencing critics regarding the Westbrook and Harden pairing. Russell Westbrook is finally having an efficient season and is a dark horse MVP candidate at this point of the year. At number 4 are the Utah Jazz, who now have a competitive starting lineup with Mike Conley running the point. Number 5 are the Denver Nuggets, who are struggling and are looking for moves or players available that can push them to the top of the West. Number 6 are the Spurs, who are hanging on to a playoff spot thanks to the steady play of DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. The Blazers are the 7th seed and are miraculously surviving without Jusuf Nurkic. Hassan Whiteside, on the other hand, has been a beast for the team and is playing great in Portland alongside Dame and CJ. And lastly, the Golden State Warriors are at the 8th seed with Curry and D'Angelo Russell scoring the majority of the load on offense, while Draymond becomes a serious contender for Defensive Player of the Year once more. Here's a record of the top 8 teams in the West so far, and the gap between each standing isn't that far since mostly everyone is still adjusting to their new situations, and the fact that some key players are still injured and won't be able to help out. Other news around the league that you guys should know is that at this point, Chris Paul is already requesting a trade from the Thunder since this partnership is going nowhere, while the Thunder is shopping Steven Adams as well. The Timberwolves have a record of 5-10 and are looking for teams who are willing to trade for Andrew Wiggins, while the Mavericks are currently struggling with a record of 6-9 since Porzingis is still rusty after a year and a half of not playing, while Luka Doncic is doing his best to keep the Mavericks afloat. We now jump to the Eastern Conference, where the Boston Celtics are number 1 in the pack 6 weeks into the season, with Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum playing perfect basketball together and making Bill Simmons happy in the process. At number 2 are the Philadelphia 76ers, who are performing to expectation, but they now started to rest Joel Embiid on back-to-backs in order to keep him fresh throughout the playoffs. Also, Ben Simmons gets a jump shot. It's not consistent yet, but it works. The Raptors are the surprise number 3 seed, and that's all because of Pascal Siakam emerging as an all-star with his play in the start of this young season. Number 4 are the Brooklyn Nets, who are overachieving with Kyrie Irving and Caris LeVert being his number 2 option. The Bucks are in the 5th spot as they adjust to life without Malcolm Brogdon, but Giannis and Chris Middleton continue to be the focal point of the offense and keeping the Bucks afloat. The Pacers are at number 6, and this is still without Victor Oladipo, who's coming back by the end of December, but their additions of Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Lamb, and TJ Warren are more than enough to compensate for his loss. The Heat are at the 7th seed, led by Jimmy Butler, who is looking for a co-star to play with because this is the best that they can reach when it comes to playoff seeding. And lastly, this is also a surprise, but the Washington Wizards are at the 8th seed after 6 weeks into the season because of Bradley Beal playing out of his mind and catching the attention of contenders who want to rescue him from his hopeless situation. Here are the standings for the first 6 weeks for the Eastern Conference, and as you can see, just like in the West standings, the teams are not much separated and the Wizards are in the 8th seed, but that comes with the emergence of Bradley Beal. For those who are on the outside looking in, the Knicks are in the thick of things because of the numerous veterans they have on the team. The Magic are finding a hard time on who's going to get the majority of the minutes because of the number of front-court players they have on the team, while the Hawks are still experiencing growing pains with their young but promising young core. We now jump 9 weeks into the season wherein trade rumors now flood ESPN and every sports channel out there. First on the rumors are Bradley Beal on the trade rumors once again, after realizing that this team is committed to its rebuild and he won't have the time to wait for everyone to develop in 5 years. Little did he know that the week after the trade speculation, yes, the Denver Nuggets make a trade for Bradley Beal in hopes to increase their chances of making out of the Western Conference, so they swing for the fences and make a trade for Beal. For the full details of the trade, the Washington Wizards receive Gary Harris, Michael Porter Jr., Malik Beasley, the 2021 first-round pick, and the 2023 first-round pick.
He's phenomenal. His size, his court vision, his ability to score, his kind of everything. You know, he's a really good basketball player.
Woj is not yet done as Chris Paul is traded a week after Bradley Beal's. Here are the details of the trade. The Thunder received Tyler Hero, Kelly Olynyk, and Goran Dragic. The reasoning that the Heat traded Tyler Hero, much to their reluctance at the start of the season, is because he's been struggling throughout the year, and the fact that Jimmy Butler wanted to compete with a veteran who knows how to win already. And hopefully that's Chris Paul. Steven Adams also gets moved and is to the Sacramento Kings, who are looking for a stable center at the 5 and someone who can potentially work well in the pick and roll with De'Aaron Fox. The Oklahoma City Thunder meanwhile get a good haul in Bogdan Bogdanovic, Dwayne Dedmon, and a 2021 first-round pick in exchange for the Kiwi big man. These early trades, especially the Denver Nuggets one, showed to the rest of the league that they're all in this year to come out of the Western Conference, armed with the new young big three of Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Bradley Beal. The Kings as well didn't have to give much to acquire 26-year-old Steven Adams, who fits in their timeline of their young guys in De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. We now jump to a week before the trade deadline, and first we welcome back Victor Oladipo, who finally comes back after his ruptured quad injury, and the Pacers finally have their complete lineup. This is also where the MVP race is at right now. Giannis Antetokounmpo is number 1 in the race after showing us he can carry a heavier load if needed to. Number 2 is a familiar face in LeBron James, who makes his appearance here now that the Lakers are back in contention for the title. Third spot is Russell Westbrook, who is proving to everyone that a change in environment and the old chemistry with James Harden is all he needs in order to get back his MVP form. Fourth spot is Stephen Curry, who is carrying the Warriors every night. And the 5th spot is Pascal Siakam, who is now a lock for the All-Star spot after showing everyone that they can survive without Kawhi Leonard. Here's a summary of the candidates that I just told you guys. Giannis is posting 24 points and 14 rebounds a night. LeBron with a near triple-double and shooting 36% from the 3-point line. Russell Westbrook is not averaging a triple-double, but instead making 52% of his field goals and 36% from 3. Number 4 is Stephen Curry with 32.1 points, 5.6 rebounds, 6.4 assists, 50% from the field, and shooting 37% from 3. Pascal Siakam, on the other hand, is putting up 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, shooting 51% from the field, and 32% from 3. We now move to the Defensive Player of the Year, where Draymond is back to being locked in on defense with the departure of Kevin Durant. He's posting 2.4 steals, 1.4 blocks per game, and registering 5.6 defensive win shares. Giannis is back in this list with 1.9 steals, 1.9 blocks, and 5.5 defensive win shares. And the last guy on this list is Anthony Davis with 1 steal per game, 2.5 blocks, and 4.8 defensive win shares. For the power rankings, the Rockets have leapfrogged the Lakers into the top spot. The Nuggets jump to the 4th seed with the addition of Bradley Beal. The Warriors find their stride with D'Angelo Russell making up for the loss of Klay Thompson. The Dallas Mavericks are also in the playoff conversation with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis, finally building that much-needed chemistry. Rounding out the top 8 are the Blazers, who are still working Nurkic back into the lineup after coming back for his broken leg. For the East Power Rankings, the Sixers are number 1 with Al Horford fully integrated into their lineup. The Raptors are still relevant with the majority of the championship lineup back from last year. And the Nets are at the 8th seed since Kyrie got hurt for a month. And now we are at the most exciting part of the season, which is the trade deadline. Get ready guys, since these are big ones coming up. The first star to fall is Kevin Love, who is now going to the Blazers to form a big four with Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and Yusuf Nurkic. The Blazers have been trying to get him since last year, but now that they have the salary to match Love's, they were able to flip Hassan Whiteside, the 2021 first-round pick, and a 2022 first-round pick in exchange for his talents. Here are Damian Lillard's thoughts on Kevin Love.
That's not true. I didn't believe it. I was in the pool, and I got out the pool and walked over there like, let me see. I started searching on his phone.
Right.
And I saw it was real. I was like, wow, that's major. Like, that's a major play.
We're not done, ladies and gentlemen. Woj also reported that Masai Ujiri has made another controversial move yet again, as he trades longtime Raptor Kyle Lowry and Stanley Johnson to the Timberwolves in exchange for Canada's prodigal son in Andrew Wiggins, and a good starting point guard in Jeff Teague.
But you're pretty unhappy today, aren't you?
I am. It's definitely disappointing news. It's been a really fun year to watch the Raptors.
I am so done with this damn league.
For Minnesota, this trade made sense because they want to make a push for the playoffs and want an experienced point guard who can take them there, so they took a chance on Kyle Lowry. The Warriors decided to keep D'Angelo Russell for this season because of how well he's playing with the team, so they made him untouchable in trade talks for this year at least. And lastly, the biggest Woj bomb of them all. Yes, Blake Griffin gets sent to the North and finally be able to compete again for a winning team after getting disappointed that the Pistons are out of the running for the playoffs again. In exchange for Blake Griffin, the Detroit Pistons received Serge Ibaka, a young wing in Norman Powell, the 2022 first-round pick, and a 2023 first-round pick. This deal sent shockwaves around the league as the Raptors now have a starting five of Jeff Teague, Andrew Wiggins, Pascal Siakam, Blake Griffin, and Marc Gasol. A lineup that can compete with the best teams out there with a mixture of both young bloods and veterans who knows what it takes to win in the finals. This is Masai Ujiri a day after making the Blake Griffin trade.
Here was the opportunity that presented itself, and I think because we had tried and tried and tried, I think it was time to make a very difficult change.
It's now March 2019. The only thing significant that will happen here is that Klay Thompson now officially gets to rejoin the Warriors and help them in their playoff push. We now fast forward to the end of the regular season, and here are the top 8 from the Western Conference. At number 1, the Houston Rockets surprised everyone with a 67-15 record and end up as the best regular season team for this year. At number 2 are the LA Lakers with 59 wins and 23 losses. Number 4 are the Clippers, who lost the tiebreak against the Denver Nuggets. Just want to mention as well that Kawhi only played 60 games this season. The 6th seed belongs to the Portland Trail Blazers, who now have Kevin Love as their starting power forward. At number 7 are the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are playing extremely well with Kyle Lowry at the point. And the 8th seed are the Golden State Warriors, who managed to stay in the hunt despite missing Klay Thompson for majority of the year. For the East, the number 1 seed are the 76ers with 49-33. Third spot are the Heat with the Jimmy Butler and CP3 pairing working well in the regular season. The Nets are able to climb to the 5th spot with 45-37. 7th seed goes to the Magic with 45-37, while the Pacers are at the 8th spot with 40-42 since they had to battle a lot of injuries to Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Lamb, and TJ Warren during the season. For the regular season awards, LeBron James is able to win the MVP since the media will be looking at him on why the Lakers are back to relevance, stealing MVP votes from Anthony Davis, but that's fine. Giannis is able to add another trophy to his collection after winning the Defensive Player of the Year. The Rookie of the Year goes to Zion Williamson, who is putting up near double-double numbers of 18 and 9, while the Most Improved Player goes to Jason Tatum, who finally reaches the 20-point mark and was able to increase his overall numbers. Playing alongside Kemba Walker must have done wonders for him. Now it's time for the playoffs. The seeding are as follows. For the West, the Rockets will be facing a dangerous 8th seed in the Golden State Warriors. The Lakers will be up against the Timberwolves. The Nuggets once again have a rematch against the Portland Trail Blazers. And the LA Clippers face a difficult test in the Utah Jazz for the 4 and 5 matchup. For the Eastern Conference, Joel Embiid and the Sixers face a gritty Indiana Pacers. The Boston Celtics start the playoffs against Nikola Vucevic and the Magic. The overachieving Miami Heat face a dangerous 6th seed in the Toronto Raptors, while the Milwaukee Bucks face the Kyrie Irving-led Brooklyn Nets. We start off with the Rockets beating the Golden State Warriors in 7 games. James Harden and Russell Westbrook start off amazing in this playoffs, with both averaging 30 points in every game that they have played in. With the weak bench and Klay Thompson still haven't found his groove yet into the season, Steph Curry and the Warriors just couldn't keep up with the barrage of the Rockets. The LA Lakers sweep the Timberwolves after the big three of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins come alive. In our first upset of the playoffs, the Portland Trail Blazers beat the Nuggets in 6 games after the trio of Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and Kevin Love all scored 20 points in every game of the series. Bradley Beal struggled in his playoff debut, while Jamal Murray hasn't shown that he deserved that 5-year max, while Jokic was the only bright spot in this series for them. Meanwhile, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard took care of business against the Jazz in 6 games as they both clamped Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley. Moving on to the Eastern Conference, the Philadelphia 76ers struggled against Victor Oladipo, Malcolm Brogdon, and Miles Turner, but ultimately won in 7 hard-fought games. The Boston Celtics beat Nikola Vucevic and the Orlando Magic in 6 games. While the second upset of the day goes to Toronto Raptors as they beat the Heat in 5 games, with Blake Griffin, Pascal Siakam, and even Andrew Wiggins all going off in every game that they played in. Jimmy Butler and CP3 could not just handle the firepower of the new Raptors. Last but not the least, the Bucks finished off the Nets in 6 games as no one was capable of guarding Giannis and Chris Middleton. Kyrie Irving was amazing in this series, but ultimately needed the help of Kevin Durant if they want to go deep in the playoffs. In the second round, the Houston Rockets fell to the Los Angeles Clippers in 7 games. All of the games were very close, but in the end, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George just got the better of James Harden and Russell Westbrook, who's also at their very best. The Los Angeles Lakers meanwhile continued their undefeated streak in the playoffs as they sweep the Trail Blazers. DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis were able to average 20 and 10 in those 4 games as Kevin Love and Yusuf Nurkic couldn't contain those two, much less LeBron James, who had his way against Kent Bazemore. On the other hand, the Sixers beat the Bucks in 6 games as their starting 5 is able to neutralize Giannis Antetokounmpo, and even Ben Simmons was able to hit a few threes in the series but at just 20%. The Boston Celtics figured out the Toronto Raptors in 6 games as Toronto struggled containing Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, and Gordon Hayward. Pascal Siakam was able to average 23 and 9 in this matchup, but Blake Griffin only put up 18 and 8, which is not enough if they are to beat a tough Boston team. In the Western Conference Finals, the battle for LA has nothing been short of amazing and close all throughout, but with the Los Angeles Lakers having a healthy DeMarcus Cousins, he proved to be the X factor on why they finished the Clippers in 6 games. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard held their own against LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but Zubac and Montrezl Harrell just couldn't contain Boogie in the whole series. The Los Angeles Lakers advanced to the finals after 9 years. Meanwhile, in the Eastern Conference Finals, the 76ers beat the Kemba Walker-led Boston Celtics in 6 games, with Joel Embiid and Al Horford having a great series on this one. Kemba and Tatum struggled against the size of their competition, and it showed in every game. In this year's NBA Finals, we now have the Los Angeles Lakers against the Philadelphia 76ers, who are hungry to bring their first championship to the city after 36 years in the making. First game, the 76ers make a statement by winning Game 1 on the road, as Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris were unstoppable in that game. Game 2, the Lakers were able to bounce back, led by Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. Game 3 belonged to the Lakers again after LeBron James is motivated to get back that Game 1 loss, and the 76ers were able to get Game 4 after an insane triple-double by Ben Simmons. The Lakers were able to protect home court in Game 5 after Danny Green made 8 threes in this game. The Sixers were not gonna allow the Lakers to celebrate in their home court, so they beat them easily in Game 6. While in Game 7, it was a close game until the very last second, up until LeBron James made the go-ahead game-winning jumper from the left wing, and finally bringing a championship to Los Angeles once again, making Lakers fans from all around the world end their misery of 9 years. What do you guys think about this video? I really had fun making this what-if scenario, and it would be crazy if we even get to see 1 or 2 of these trades happening in real life. Comment down below on what you enjoyed the most, or something you thought I missed mentioning in this video. Drop a like since this greatly helps the channel and so that I can continue to make entertaining videos for you all. As always, if you enjoy watching more content like this, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and we will meet again. For everyone who's subscribed already, I just want to say thanks again for the continuous support, and I'll continue to make quality videos for you guys every chance I get. This is Pacific Hoops, signing off.